It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract.
Hey, welcome to the House of L. And this week, episode 6 of Supergirl, called Red-Faced, talked a lot about anger. And it really examined how a lot of the characters on Supergirl are dealing with their anger, both in positive and negative ways. A lot of this discussion really centered around the double standards that women face when dealing with anger. Kat even tells a story about how when she used to work at the Daily Planet, Perry White threw a chair in anger about a story or something, and how everybody just kind of goes along with that when men have outbursts like that. But when women have outbursts like that, they're seen as unstable, or they're called bitches, or whatever. Overall, I think the message of the episode was that it's not about holding everything in, and it's not about having a crazy outburst and letting it all out. It's about balance. What was striking to me about this episode, though, is that its hero, the person who embodied that balance with regard to anger, was James Olsen. James was kind of the perfect example of how one could and should manage their anger. And it was very important in particular because he is a male character. So seeing a male character be able to achieve that balance is really important to see on a feminist show like Supergirl. For example, in his dinner with General Sam Lane, that was not an easy dinner to go through, and he was getting all sorts of salt rubbed into his many wounds with regard to his relationship with Lucy. And when she gets up to go to the ladies' room, General Lane really lets him have it and calls him on all his insecurities and really digs in there. James doesn't hide his anger. He doesn't try to bury it or conceal it. You can definitely see that he's angry, and he definitely lets General Lane know how angry he is, but he's very measured about it. He's very controlled. He doesn't let it get the better of him. He also takes Kara up on her offer of a kind of punch therapy when he gets together with Kara to kind of punch it out and to say all the things that he's angry about while he's punching a punching bag and she's punching a car. He takes advantage of that opportunity because he knows it's healthy to let your anger out however you can in a constructive, positive way and not let that anger affect other people in a harmful way. Also really interesting about James in this episode is that up until now, we haven't really had a huge discussion about race with regard to his character. James is just James, and they haven't made like an after-school special about the fact that he's black, even though, that might have been considered a controversial or at least a confusing, possibly to some people, casting choice, especially since we're used to Jimmy Olsen being this redheaded nerd boy. But in that scene with Kara where they're both kind of punching it out, he mentions the fact that women aren't the only ones who have a double standard against them with regard to anger. And he says something to the effect of, well, it's not like black men are encouraged to be angry in public. Oftentimes when people of color get angry, it's seen as a marker of their whole group. And their whole group is judged against one person's action and one person's anger, which is completely unfair. And I'm so glad that finally, when we do address race on Supergirl, it's a very small mention, but it's a very real lived-in mention from James. And I thought it was very insightful, insightful of the writers and of the character to bring that up in that moment. So really, when it comes to anger management in the episode Red-Faced, James Olsen is the hero of the episode. And I think that Kara could stand to learn something from him, as well as from Cat Grant, on how to manage and use your anger effectively. Well, that's it for the House of L this week. As always, you have my Supergirl recaps on Tuesdays. You can listen to Supergirl Radio, which is my Supergirl podcast, on Wednesdays. And as always, every Thursday, we've got a House of L video for you to enjoy as well. So there's plenty of Supergirl goodness to go around. Till next week, see you at the House of L.